How's it going, everyone? Marriland here, and that's right, it's time for something new and something fun. The game itself actually has been out for several years, and it's one of my favorite games of all time. That's right, Terraria. Oh man, Terraria is such a fun game, and version 1.3.2 is just released, so I figure what better time than now to start up a series on this, because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Just one thing to mention, this will be geared towards new players to the Terraria series. I'm very experienced with Terraria. I put probably 315 or more hours into the game over several computers and years and stuff like that. But I'm also going to be under the assumption that you're new to it. A lot of players, you know, when they're just starting out, they don't know what to do or where they're going. So hopefully this will be kind of a nice walkthrough, let's play tutorial kind of thing. But anyway, first things first, we gotta create a character. On this menu, it should be pretty obvious, by the way. You just do new. And then you have 4 different options here that you can kind of customize colors, you can customize styles, you can do all sorts of cool things. For clothes, there's also additional options here. You can have different styles. You could also just do random and see what you get, which is a lot of fun. And you can choose whether you're male or female. Doesn't really have any impact on the gameplay itself. It's just kind of how your character looks and, of course, the sound that plays. And then there's this option, which I will talk about in just a moment. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and make a character really quick, and I will show you what I've come up with. Alright, I've gone ahead and created a character, and gave him some cool hair, some cool clothes. Don't get too attached to the clothes and anything, because that is something that can be changed. In fact, actually all of these options, including your gender, can be changed after you've started up the game. However, what cannot be changed is what difficulty you're going with. I strongly recommend softcore, both for newer players and for veterans alike. That means you only drop money when you die, unlike, say, Minecraft, where you lose all of your stuff when you die. With this, losing stuff is really bad, because so often you're gonna end up with, like, unique items or very important items that you might only get one of in your world. So, because of that, softcore is pretty much the standard. However, there is medium core, which makes it so you drop items when you die, which is very unfortunate. And there's hardcore, where the character is dead for good. You can't ever use that character again. These two are good for challenge runs. Definitely don't, discount them or discredit them, but know that there's no shame in going softcore. I strongly recommend that early on. Maybe later on I'll do another one in medium or hardcore, but for right now, we'll do this. So let's go ahead and create the character. So we need to give this guy a name. And let's go ahead and name him Crimson Red. I don't know why, it just sounds kind of cool. He looks kind of red anyway. I also don't like to name characters after myself. I usually just come up with random stuff. Alright, so now you're seeing this screen. You're like, what do I do? You can either double click or you can click this little play button and blank screen. Oh noes, what do I do? Well, we gotta make a world for this guy to reside in, right? So, just like creating a character, you go down, press new, and then you choose a world size. So, this is not like, what size of fries or drink you want. This is what size your world is going to be, and in this case, you're actually not, it doesn't really matter if you make a large world. In fact, arguably, it's probably worse because it means it takes you that much longer to get to the depths and stuff. If you're just starting out, I recommend either small or medium. If you have a slower computer, definitely go small. I'm gonna go with medium. And last but not least, we have the actual difficulty. I know I said difficulty earlier, but that's a little different. It's what core you're on? I don't know. Most players are going to want to play normal. Expert makes the game a lot tougher, and it's a lot of fun. I have played through Expert all the way, and it is fantastic. I do have plans in the future to do an Expert series, don't worry. But for right now, since this is sort of supposed to be a guide, kind of let's play, walkthrough thing for people who might be new to the game, let's go with normal. It's still a lot of fun. And then we're going to call this world, let's call it I Just Woke Up. Even though it's like 11 p.m. So I clearly didn't, but oh well, you know what, that's fine. So we have to wait a little bit for it to generate the world. One important thing to notice is what color you see on the left side here. If it's purple, that means you have something called a corruption. No, it's not a virus, don't worry. And if it's red, you'll see something called the crimson in your world instead. I'll talk about this later, but just know that when your world's being generated, you can get an indicator of which world you have if you see that. Anyway, I'll wait for this to load and I'll see you in a moment. All right, the world has been created. So let's go ahead and play in the world. I love naming worlds random things. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Terraria's controls. You use WASD by default to move around. However, as you can see, it's more of a 2D looking game, so most of the time you don't use W or S, or up and down. Yeah, you don't really use them all that often. Wow, I can't even talk. You can press space to jump, which will be very useful, and you can move this cursor thing around you with your mouse. You use the cursor to kind of point at objects you want to interact with. It doesn't determine which direction you're facing, though, so getting used to this can take a little while. Up here in the top left corner are your items. Well, more specifically your hotbar. You can actually get a lot more items than just this. On the top right corner, you have your life. You can both see a number of, how many life you have, plus an indicator with just hearts. Whichever one you want's fine. And then there's the mana over here. Right now I have 20 out of 20 mana. Not gonna do that much good right now. And we have a map right here, which we can close. But it is helpful to have a map going. One thing to note, I am playing on a 720p resolution. I recommend going with a 1080p if you can, but because I'm recording and because the interface does not scale, I'm going with 720p, just so this won't be super tiny if you're watching it on, without full screen or on a phone or something. Okay, so remember what I was telling you about interacting? Well, we can right-click an NPC, which is this guy right here, and that will interact with him. Greetings, Crimson Red, is there something I can help you with? So this guy is the guide. He's the first NPC that you'll have available. He'll tell you various pieces of information if you keep clicking help. Also, you can use the crafting option here, and he'll show you what items can be crafted into. But they have to have material as the keyword. Let's go ahead and press escape to get out of that menu, and let's press escape again. When you press escape, you'll see your real inventory here. There's a lot of room for storing stuff, which is great. You can also see numbers up here, which indicate which button on your number row you can press to quickly toggle that weapon or item. But yeah, let's go ahead and hit escape to get out of there, and let's try fight. So, to scroll through your hotbar items, you can either press the number, or you can scroll with the scroll wheel. I recommend scrolling if you can. So let's start with this short sword. In order to use it, all we need to do is just press left click. By the way, just to clarify, I am playing on the PC version. The controls will be entirely different if you are on a different version of, if you're playing it on a different system. But more or less, the idea is the same. But do keep that in mind, this guide is for the PC version. And as such, it is farther than a lot of the other versions. It's oftentimes updated the most. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you straight up, this copper short sword is garbage. Because you can't really swing upwards, you only stab forwards. And, while that might seem cool at first, it's not a good idea. By the way, I do recommend not wasting so much time out here. But just for the purpose of this, I will show you, I'm going over a lot of the basics, because the basics are important to learn. Pickaxes. These can be used to mine blocks. All you need to do to mine a block is just kind of hover over it with your mouse and the cursor, and just hold in left click. By the way, I should probably also note, a pickaxe at this point is a much better weapon than a sword, because you can just hold in left click and you will auto swing, which is of course very useful. Plus it does about as much damage as the copper short sword anyway, so really just do that. Maybe get yourself some stone blocks in order to build some things with. Remember to jump out of any holes by pressing space, but of course you can walk up little 1-block inclines. Let's take out this guy. Wow, 1 gold. Gold are pretty rare, actually. That's one of your coins. 1 gold equals 100 silver. 1 silver equals 100 copper. So, needless to say, getting a gold coin is pretty good at this point in the game. Slimes sometimes have little coins and trinkets and stuff inside of them. Okay, next up, let's chop down a tree. We can't punch it with our fists. You're thinking of the wrong game. No, but we need to use an axe in order to do that. It's actually something that's in the background, so I think we can place something. Oh no, we can't, but there are things in the background. Hi, bunny. And I'll show you a little bit about that in a moment, but for right now, I'm gonna chop down some trees, and I recommend you do the same. However, do you see the sun in the sky up there? Yeah, you might want to make sure you have enough stuff before nightfall, because things get pretty gnarly at night. And this is an extremely slow axe, darn it. So gather up a whole bunch of wood. I recommend chopping down all the trees in your starting area. Honestly, you're probably best just making your base or wherever you're gonna build kind of near where you spawn, near the start. Right here is going to be a good spot, and I'm going to level this little bump right there, and we're going to start building something out of wood. It will be so basic, at least to start out with, but we'll at least be able to survive the night, which is important. Alright, I'm going to finish chopping these trees, and I'll see you in a moment. Okay, so we cleared a little bit of land here, which is great. We also got some acorns. It's probably a good idea to plant some acorns, because they will grow into trees, regardless of where you are. So let's go ahead and plant some of those. All right, now we gotta build because it's getting dark out. In order to build, all you need to do is just use your mouse cursor and then kind of position where you want to place a block. If you don't see the block that you're trying to place, then that means you are out of range. Your range, it can be increased with certain accessories and stuff, but right now we're just gonna lay down a floor. You could use dirt if you really wanted. And we are going to make it a little big. I guess I probably got a little too close to that sapling. Okay. Yeah, you know what? We're not gonna use all this for right now, but let's go ahead and build a little 3-high thing here. And we're gonna make one more up top because a door, which we're gonna be making in just a moment, is 3 tall. All right, let's use this. I know I said not to use the short sword, but I'm gonna throw this thing away in a moment anyway. All right, so we'll have the door there, and that'll look nice. Let's go ahead and, you know what? Okay, well, we can place that. By the way, really helpful trick. If you're playing on the PC version, you can quickly switch to whatever tool you need to interact with what you're looking at by holding in Shift. In this case, I can switch to the pickaxe just by holding Shift. Also, if I had any torches, which, by the way, I should probably pick up some of this gel, because I'm going to need that in order to craft some torches to generate some light. Alright, let's go ahead and build a little box here. It's not very fancy, but you know what? It will work in a pinch. Let's also use the pickaxe to mine that out. Okay, so we have a house, right? I mean, this is gonna keep us safe. Well, theoretically, yeah, but we needed a lot to do, or we need to do a lot before we can actually do anything. Scroll over here, getting a little ahead of myself, and you'll find the crafting area. So in this case, I can use the scroll wheel to kind of scroll and choose what items I want to make. And you don't have to like throw anything in a grid or anything. It just tells you what you need to have in your inventory in order to make it. You can also click this to show a bigger list of the things you can make. In this case, I made a workbench for 10 wood, and that's very helpful for starting. Now, since I have this open, you can see there's a whole bunch more stuff I can make. One thing I need to make right away is a door. That takes 6 wood. So with this door, I can place it in the world just like a block, but as you can see, it takes 3 tiles there. Okay, so we have a door, but we need something else. We need to make some walls. So walls are important. You can kind of see behind me right now, right? Yeah, that's no good. So hold in right click if you want to make a lot of something. Otherwise, just left click if you only want to make a single item. With walls, these are actually placed in the background. So if I were to click here, it's not like a block or anything. So I don't know, make however many you think you'll need. I don't really know what a good number is. I'd say this box will probably take, well, actually, let's find out, just so you have an idea of how many you'll need. Probably about, what, 50, 60, something like that. You get 4 for every piece of wood. And just like that, I have sealed it up entirely. That is awesome. But it's pretty dark in here, right? Well, we need to make a torch or 2. Torches can be made with wood and gel, and you get a lot of gel from slimes. While you're holding a torch, like on your hotbar, it does light things up. By the way, let's say you have your pickaxe active and you want to place a torch. As long as you have a torch in your inventory, if you hold shift, it will hold it, which is extremely important. This guy needs to get inside, darn it. But you know what? This is not actually a proper house. There are things called houses in this game. And it's not just, you know, oh, let's build somewhere to keep myself protected. We gotta protect Brandon, the guide. So, this little icon here is everything you need for houses. Oh, snap, it's a zombie. Well, don't let him inside. Okay, yeah, you want to be careful of zombies at this point. But we should be safe now. Nighttime is really bad. If you hover over any of the enemies, you'll see that they have a lot more health. Brandon, what are you doing? We need to get him inside of here. And you know what? How are we going to do that? Well, if you click this little question mark and then click on something that you think is a house, it'll tell you if it's a valid house or not. In this case, we're missing a chair. Oh no, how do I get out of here? What? I'm clicking all over the place. Just right click after you have selected this and you'll get out of that mode. So we need to make a chair in order for this to be valid housing. Let's go ahead and make a chair. We're just gonna set it down there for right now. Now, if we touch this over here, aha, we click it inside of the box and that now designates it as his house. We're gonna have to kill a few zombies in order for him to get in. I don't recommend doing this, but like, ideally you will be building much faster than I am. I was trying to explain things. Now, he should walk inside, because this is his house. Brandon, what are you doing? Seriously, what are you doing? Get in the house. Brandon. What are you doing? No, this is not the time to fight. Well, the good news is he does have 250 health. He'll probably be capable of fighting NPC or other enemies during the nighttime. But ideally, he should be inside whatever little house you have. Alright, let me talk about houses really quick. So, the exact dimensions of houses, there is like a formula to determine how much room you need. You can't have an extremely small house. Something like this is actually even bigger than necessary, but I like it. I think it's roomy enough. In order to have a valid house, you need to have lights, which I place torches here. You need to have a door, which I have a door here. You need to have a table of some sort, which can either be a workbench or a wooden table. Actually, I think it can be like a comfort item. There are a whole bunch of other items that are like vanity items that can work. Or maybe it's like a tool item. I don't remember off the top of my head. We're only dealing with wood stuff right now. But if you're just starting out, know that all you really need is just... Brandon, get inside! Here's what we're going to do. Brandon, get inside. Get inside, and I will seal you... I'll seal us inside, okay? Brandon. Brandon, get in the house! This is not a joke. Get in here. Brandon. All right, I'm gonna just place some blocks. There. Oh my goodness. You should stay indoors at night. It's very dangerous to be wandering around in the dark. Dude, practice what you preach, man. Seriously, what is your problem? Are you like afraid of me or something? We have a long night ahead of us. Yeah, so this is a starter house. Unfortunately, there's not really all that much we're going to be able to do because it's nighttime and we have to wait for it to be daytime. But I guess while we're in the interface here, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these options here for the map. We can do this one to do a full screen map, or you can also just press M on your keyboard. This one here closes your map, which can be nice if you don't want to have stuff over there. This brings up that map again, and then this kind of puts a little overlay, which it can be useful sometimes. Brandon, you are just so disobedient, my goodness. Let's turn this off for right now, we don't need it. I think we're just going to wait out the night. Unfortunately, unlike, say, Minecraft, there is no option to just sleep through the night. Yeah, even if we were to get a bed, which we can't do at this point in the game, at least not yet. We need some stuff for that. You can't skip night. There is one item much later on that lets you do something, but yeah. So this over here is a fallen star. It is pretty helpful to have. If you get 3 of those, you can make a star crystal, which will increase your mana by 20. In other words, it gives you an extra star. Each star represents 20 mana, and each heart represents 20 life. Okay, Brandon, you... We're not gonna let him escape anymore. I want to get that star, though. These things only fall at night, and they disappear in the daytime. It's not like they're overly rare or anything, but you do want to pick them up. So I'm gonna run out and run right back in. Haha. All right, cool. Yeah, so try to get these stars if you can, but don't be foolish and run around at night. It's really dangerous at this point in the game. We'll be able to explore during night later, but honestly, right now, you should make sure your first day is spent trying to get, like, a little basic starter home built. And you definitely want to have something in place before nightfall, otherwise you're gonna get destroyed. If, for some reason, you are out at night, all you need to do is just dig down a little bit and then seal yourself up with some dirt or whatever material and just wait out the night. That does work, but obviously you'll want to have a home. Actually, you know, it's not necessarily a bad thing doing a little bit of digging during the night, especially during your first night. That way you'll get some dirt that you can use as just kind of throwaway material, but you'll also hopefully be able to find some things. However, make sure you don't dig yourself too deep. That's not very good, now is it? Thankfully, there is an item you can craft that makes it a little bit easier. With 1 piece of wood, you can make 2 wooden platforms. So I'm going to make, let's make 10 of these. You can always craft them back if you want, and these can be placed pretty much anywhere. Not the sky, obviously, but we can do something like this. It's a good way to kind of, you know, give it a little step. There's a lot more you can do with wooden platforms. You can make stairs out of them, you can do all sorts of fun things, but for right now, this might be a good idea. In fact, another good idea is something like that. Ta-da! I'm going to make sure the house looks a lot prettier, don't worry, but for right now, a basic starter home will do. Also, don't worry about digging straight down. You're not gonna run into lava. You can see below you, so you'd have to be pretty careless to have any big major mistake. Again, I am using shift, just to remind you, because this is an extremely important thing to learn. I'm using shift to kind of quickly toggle. What I like to do is I like to have my weapon selected as my main thing, and then I can hold in shift while looking at some dirt or whatever I'm mining, and that'll quickly switch to my pickaxe. And then, of course, I can, you know, not be looking at anything to pick, and it switches to my torch. So that's how I'm able to switch my inventory and stuff around so fast. Of course, you could use a scroll wheel, or you could use the number pad, but I'm personally a big fan of using shift to toggle between what I have. Oh, not high enough, darn it. There we go. All right, and now that the music has changed back to that lovely happy tune, that means it is officially daytime. It's safe to go out again. You're only gonna run into slimes. So I guess we'll let Brandon out. Oh man, he is such a rebel, I tell ya. Don't know why he was going all over the place. Yeah, so in the daytime, it's a good idea to do some exploring. However, you know what? I know that this hasn't been a very exciting episode. We made like a box and we dug some dirt. But I did also teach you the basics of the game. I taught you the controls, how to move around, how to build a house. Not how to make a pretty house, but we'll do some work on that. I think this is a good spot to wrap things up for now, and I think we're gonna spend the next episode doing a little bit of adventuring. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you on the next episode of Marriland's Terraria Adventure. See ya next time. Platinum ore? Cool. Hold up, I'm missing something very important to tell you. That's how to get out of the game. If ever you need to leave the game, you can just click outside of your window if you are, well, not on a multiplayer server, and if you're not, on full screen mode. You can just click out the window and that'll pause. Very useful if you need to look something up. However, if you just want to save and quit, what you need to do is you need to go to the bottom right corner over here, hit settings, and then do save and exit. And then you're good. And you'll save your game and you'll be fine. When you reload, you'll be back at your spawn point, which for me is right here. Or once you make that bed that I was telling you about, you'll spawn there. All right, that's it.